Okay, people, we are going to discuss something important. Hold on. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay. The bite model. Okay, so we have Maslow's pyramid of basic needs, which talks about what a human physically knows that they need warmth because they can freeze from the elements, they can overheat, so they need shelter, and then they need clean water, not too many elements or bacteria or things downstream. They need food, and that's not just stupid food, like actual nutrition from the earth, and food, water, and then they need medicine, and rest. And a lot of the time, America pushes people to work 8 hours, sleep 8 hours, and then spend 8 hours as a minimum on themselves. What they do with the 8 hours that they own is up to them. So, again, that's a triangle effect to the 24 hours divided by 3. And what you have is you could be socializing, taking care of yourself, getting exercise, doing all of these things to try to clear your energy. And now people have all of the things that they need accessible, where in the 80s and the 90s, that information was withheld in occultic circles that follow the bite model. And so you had to have been isolated for certain things and gone through a system of the public education system. Now, in the United States of America, during the Revolutionary War and the War on Independence, people from Rome and France, known as Freemasons or the Men of Enlightenment, created the idea, philosophical idea, of our government and our country and the way it would be laid out, the way it would be run, and they were part of the Illuminati under the Freemasons. And they wanted to use all their philosophical, artistic, and scientific and psychological advancements up into that time, about 200 years ago, especially since at the 1600s, they really hit a level of understanding between the Vatican and between the mastery of Illuminati and their practices in Eastern arts and their sciences and stuff. So they integrated from the beginning into the colleges. At first, women did not have access to that, and women are not allowed to be Freemasons still. So a lot of women who did anything really advanced would actually leave the United States and then come back to be able to become a Freemason in another country. And then you have psychology, the philosophical, religious, and theological arts, the sciences, and the arts themselves. So all the different careers that stem out of that, whether you're working for the state or the government or an organization, all of the money comes from the Federal Reserve and the World Banking System. And that is not literally owned by, but supported by, the Freemason connection that runs our politics and all of associations thereof. So anything incorporated, basically. And then from there, all the careers, the colleges, Operation Paperclip, and the dowsing or clearing, you have to go through. And then once you open your third eye, then you can do that. But there is a lower place where the CIA, FBI, FDA, CDC, and the DHS executive in Independent Avenue in Washington, D.C., the 13 Illuminati drugs of all of these industries to control the masses' enlightenment or biochemistry or biopsychological paradigm. And so that, if you're living on the bottom and you have just like Social Security and you're living in the ghetto, if you get past that and you understand that, then you're copper. And if you move into aluminum, there's the supernatural, de-evolution, extraterrestrials, bikers, all these groups of people who are trying to survive those specific encounters that a lot of the time the FDA, CDC, CIA, and FBI, and DHS are involved with. And so there are the Reichs that have moved in after World War II during Operation Paperclip, and they operate under the basis of regulation, management, delegation, and leadership, because that's the way that they're designed. They hide in a church called Christian Scientology, or Scientology, which is different from Christian Science. From there, you have all the Christian religions and everything they believe in, but the Bible, going back to Rome, the Vatican, and the Illuminati, has been controlled the entire time by the kings, the regulators, the publishers, the press, and the Bible was never a pure thing. It is actually written about humans encountering extraterrestrials. So you need to keep that in mind. And then the regulation of these governments, the Reichs, the U.S. economy, and politics covers the lie of happiness, freedom, and all that kind of stuff. The right to freedom, pursuit of happiness, and something else. Those are lies. So that's a lie. And they set it up, a system, to be like that. So you get to silver. You have the clearing, the colleges, Operation Paperclip, all the possibilities of all the different careers you could go into. They're going to hit a place of iron, and you're going to run into the skull and crossbones, the Scientology, and the 7 lies that America actually gives you, which I designed these as teachings, which I don't even know if it's worth it. I don't think it is. But I'm just going to tell you this right now, because I've decided to disengage. So at this point, we have these 3 pyramids, and we're entering into the 3rd pyramid. And at the bottom, you start at 1,000. When you get to silver, you go 10,000, and then when you get to 100,000, this is 5,000. And if you're having an income of about 100,000, and that is the way that they control everything, through money and power. So I just wanted to mention that I've already broken down in Mother Hen over all the possibilities of income and what that means, all the different educational and career paths, and how people come across the occultic knowledge. The BITE model and the Maslow pyramid of needs has been completely ignored. So we're going to go into the last pyramid, and we're going to look through silver, through the World Bank, all the Federal Reserve, the careers, the colleges, Operation Paperclip, any of the clearing, and to opening your 3rd eye. And when you open your 3rd eye, you're going to start getting abilities and the knowing, the gnosis, and the ability to know the truth. And so that's what the 13 Illuminati drugs are actually required within a certain amount of money of whatever industry of product that is put out there. So going forward, you enter into the Eastern arts, which, like I said, you have 8 hours a day to practice. So you want to clear your energy, you want to open your 3rd eye, and you want to start bonding with your light bodies and building these extra peripheral, extra sense, like you think about power. That's a form of power. That's like a supernatural power. That's what they're trying to protect. So that's what they feel threatened by, that they live in fear by, that they're unsure of, and that they know the history of our planet having some kind of extraterrestrial encounter, and they're not really sure what's going on. They're still trying to put it together, but there's a lot of dead bodies under France. I'm just going to say that. Billions. You're making billions, you get into the Eastern arts, you get into the high level of Freemasonry, from iron to gold, and that's where I wanted to write my pamphlets. We're supposed to be gold level, put out onto the copper level to judge them, pretty much. Nephesis common sense. You get these different extra peripheral abilities. Now you have the Freemasons, the Rosicrucian, and the Avalonian practices. These are what we would call Aryan practices, or the original human evolutionary practices to higher consciousness and ascension. So all of these groups of people will ask you for money. I have so far not defined somebody who doesn't ask for the tier of money that has been set up in the United States. And I think that that is because if they're going to do something, they're afraid they won't be taken seriously. And they want to attract people, so they disseminate consciousness with money. They do this on such a level that the Rothschilds and the Federal Reserve collected a lot of the gold at a certain time in history, believing that gold was actually associated with time or the aliens, and they could make esoteric, occultic, ritualistic pacts that would involve necromancy and channeling and relationship with the extraterrestrials on this planet. So they're very serious about that. And that's kind of where that comes from. So once you get to the Illuminati and mastery, and you've mastered